John 13:34 and 35. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this, all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. So I'm going to tell you a little bit why this verse is a challenge and an encouragement. The fact is we kind of all love, right? And this is such a popular verse in Christianity and probably even outside of it. Many other religions and probably even the secular world would sign off on this verse. Recently I was doing something and I reread this verse and the word new really struck me. I had this feeling that it doesn't seem like a new commandment at all. The Bible speaks a lot about love and different ways of loving your neighbor. And earlier in Matthew 22, Jesus kind of cuts the 10 commandments down to two really important ones. The second one being, you should love your neighbor as yourself. And then also, we kind of have in Western culture, we have the golden rule, right? Treat others as you would like to be treated. But if you look at the verse a little more closely, you'll notice the semicolon, or in some translations, the colon there, and it adds a really important qualifier. And it says that you love one another as I have loved you. That adds a lot, as you can imagine, especially when Jesus is speaking about it. You'll notice the position in John where this is at. Right before this, Jesus has washed the feet of the 12 disciples, including his betrayer. And then after this, Jesus is soon after this going to be going to the cross as well. So when you consider those two facts, the qualifier, as I have loved you, becomes a lot more powerful. Jesus was using his life as an example, his life in general, as a way that we should love each other. And that speaks to verse 35. By this, all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. The other part of it is people, right? That can be difficult to love. There was a shirt, we were traveling, and there was a shirt at Buc-ee's, and it made me laugh so much. It said, Jesus loves you, and I'm trying. I thought that was so interesting because, number one, it's funny, but number two, we can't be Jesus, right? But we can try to show love in the same way that he did. There's a pastor and a scientist who happens to be an atheist, and they're kind of debating God. And the scientist has recently lost her father. The pastor says, did you love your father? The scientist says, yes, very much. And the pastor says, prove it. The idea being that love is such a big concept that there's not a mathematical equation or something that can be understood to work it out in mathematics or science, etc. But it got me to thinking, how would you really prove that you love someone? You could say that you love them, but you could just be, being disingenuous for some reason. You could actually even show that you love someone, but you could be trying to get something personally out of it. The only way that I kind of came to the conclusion that you could really finally prove that you love someone would be to die for them. We have a God that actually died for us, came down to this earth, did the little things, but he ultimately did the big thing, which is lay down his life for us.